Good morning, everyone. My name is Allison, and I'm an educator with the St. Louis Zoo. And I am so excited to bring today's webinar all about guts, Gorals, Urials, and Takins to you from my home. Now, because I am in my home, and I do want to help prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus, I do wear a mask. But like I said, because I'm inside my house and I'm not sharing space with anyone outside of my immediate family, I have pulled it down away from my face right now. What's really exciting is that the zoo is open. We are so excited to welcome people back. You do need to make a pre-timed reservation to come see us though, and also bring this mask with you. We do require it while you are visiting with us so that everyone can stay happy and healthy. So today is all about guts, or at least that's what I'm calling it anyway. Three animals we'll be discussing today: Gorals, Urials, and Takins. Now, you may or may not have heard of these animals before, and that's okay, because by the end of today's webinar, you will know exactly what they are. And if you get a chance to visit us at the St. Louis Zoo, you can see them in our Red Rocks section of the zoo. They're very, very cute. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to share another screen here so that we can see what these animals look like if you have no idea. Because I have to admit, before I started working at the zoo, I wasn't really sure either. Gorals, Urials, and Takins. These are our three critters we will be learning about today. And they have some similarities and some differences. Let's see what some of our similarities are between these three different kinds of animals. Right, so these animals are ungulates. These are animals with hooves. And with ungulates, there are two classes, two big groups of ungulates. You have a class called Persiodactyla. You don't have to remember any of this by the end of today, but it'd be really cool if you did. And another class called Artiodactyla. And the three animals, the Gorals, the Urials, and the Takins, they are all members of the class Artiodactyla. I have an arrow here pointing to my Takin's hoof because the Artiodactyla animals are what are called even-toed ungulates. So they have an even number of toes, or a split hoof a lot of the times. So if you think of something like a horse as one hoof, one toe, right? That's that Persiodactyla. Artiodactyla very often has that split hoof, kind of like a cow or our takin. So that's one thing that they all have in common, that they are even-toed ungulates. Other animals in this group include things like giraffes. They also include pigs, and camels are all Artiodactyla. And these three animals, they all live over in Asia. So I have this map here. So Gorals and Takins, the first and the last animal we'll talk about today, are native to central China and some of the countries near there. And Urials can be found from northern India, this green country right here, part of it, over to Iran. So they can be really, really spread out. These three animals are also all herbivores. I have this little picture of a plant here. They are herbivores. And they're a really special kind of herbivore called a ruminant. Right? We can't talk about or call them guts without talking about guts a little bit, I think anyway. So they're all ruminants, which means they have a very special kind of digestion. If you've ever been out where there's been someone has some cattle, maybe has a cow farm, you may notice them chewing a lot or hear them calling chewing cud. So that's these kinds of animals. They have a four-chambered stomach to help digest all of that plant material that they're eating really, really well. They're very, very good at getting as much of the nutrients out of those plants as they can. Because plants can be kind of hard to digest. So they do what's called mechanical digestion. They chew a lot, right? So they will swallow, they'll go through some bacterial digestion. There's some good bacteria in their guts that helps break down that plant. And then they'll regurgitate it, chew it up again, swallow it, and go through that whole process. maybe a little bit gross. Hopefully no one's eating breakfast. I should have warned you, but it works really, really great for these animals. And one of the last things that all of these creatures have in common is that they live in some places where it can be kind of hard to live. They might live in mountains or really arid and dry habitats, and also places where it gets really, really cold. And so they have some special adaptations to help them deal with that. So those are our similarities. Similarities. I felt like I said that wrong, but I have something really, really special for us. It's a way to introduce these three creatures before we dive into them a little bit more. I'm really lucky to get a video from one of our zookeepers, Erin, who works in Red Rocks and helps take care of these three species of animals at the St. Louis Zoo. So I'm going to go ahead and share a video with you of Erin introducing our Gorals, Urials, and Takins.
Hello, my name is Erin, and I work here at the St. Louis Zoo up in Red Rocks. Behind me, we have one of our Takin. His name is Yachty. He's around 5 years old. Along with him, we also have Ching. You can't see him at the moment, but he is one of the boys that we have in this habitat, who is around 4 years old. These guys are kind of unique. They have multiple colors in their coats. They have very thick, oily residue that's on their skin that allows them to be a little bit more waterproof. We have both males and females here at St. Louis. The males are significantly larger than the females. The males can range anywhere between 800 and 900 pounds, sometimes going over 900 pounds. The females typically stay around 500 to 600 pounds. Females don't have as much excitement within their coat coloring, whereas the males have more splotchy coat coloring so that you can kind of tell the difference between them. Their horns also are a bit different, so whenever you come out and see us, you'll be able to tell the difference by their horns and their colorings. So behind me we have some Urial. We have a herd of 7 females. You can see them up on the hilltop behind me. Some interesting things about them is that they have really thick coats in the winter time, and in the summertime they start to shed that out. So when you come here, it might look a little bit different, but they are just working on shedding their coats out, and they like to rub on rocks to try to work that hair out and get it nice and cool for the summertime. Behind me is another one of our Takin habitat. Along with the Takin, we have Goral, and we have 3 Goral that come out every day. It's a mom and her 2 babies. Esmeralda was born last year, and then we had Tina that was born a couple of months ago. So some unique things about these guys is that they're very agile and they can climb very quickly, and they can hang on to the edges of cliffs whenever they're on the top of the rocks.
It's Erin, like I said, one of our fantastic zookeepers at the St. Louis Zoo, who takes care of some of these animals. So let's investigate our Takins, or our Gorals, a little bit closer and learn some really other new interesting things about these guys. All right, so we know what they are, we know what they have in common. Let's learn what makes them special, what makes them a little bit different. So we'll start with our central Chinese Goral. And so like I said, these guys are native to Asia, and these animals in particular live in the mountains of central China, Nepal, and Tibet is where you will find them most often. And they are really fast. They're very agile. They have to navigate a lot of rocky slopes in the mountains. So that split hoof too can help them hang on to the rocks as they're hopping around. In the young, even when they're first born, they're maybe only hours old, they're still able to follow their mom around that habitat. It's a skill they have to develop really, really quickly. These guys are also itty bitty. They're only about 3 feet tall, so maybe about the size of a toddler. They like to live in groups as well. You can find them in the wild living into groups of up to 12 animals. Since they are an ungulate, and there are maybe some things like snow leopards or other predators that might want to prey on them, living in a group gives them a safety advantage. They love to eat a wide variety of animals, all kinds of grasses, shrubs, leaves, maybe some fruits. But because they are native to mountain habitats in the wild, this is about as much as we know about them. They can be really, really hard to study. At the zoo, they get a lot of plant material as well, and all of our ungulates, all of our ruminants, all of our herbivores, really, really important that they get a lot of good high quality hay every single day to keep their guts happy and in check so that they can continue to digest that food. So, oh my gosh, aren't they cute, those little central Chinese Gorals? Now, let's move on to the Urials, specifically our Transcaspian Urials. So there are other subspecies of these animals, but we specifically have the Transcaspian Urial. And these guys are ones that can be found from northern India over to Iran. And they can navigate these rocky slopes. But in the wild, you're going to find these animals close to the mountains, but mostly in kind of arid grassland type areas. So they really, really like to hang out there. And what's neat about these animals is that both the male and the females have horns that curl backwards. So in my photos here, there are some females on the left. We can see their little horns curling backwards, but of course that male on the right has those huge, magnificent horns that they will use to defend their herd from maybe other males. To go into that headbutting, if we think of headbutting rams, these animals can do that. So those horns can be really, really beneficial to a male. What's really unique, like Erin mentioned in the video, is that they grow really long winter coats. And sometimes their neck ruff, so some hair around their neck, can get up to be about 9 inches long. So that's almost 1 foot. So it gets really long to help keep their bodies nice and warm in those cold winters that they experience in those dry grasslands. Another cool thing about these animals is that when they want to jump, like really jump, they can jump up to 9 feet. Right? So if we think maybe some of our dads are about 6 feet tall, that's farther than they are tall. Holy moly, so crazy. All right, now let's look at our last animal, our T of our guts, the Sichuan Takin. And this is the subspecies of takin that we have here at our zoo. There are 4 subspecies of takin total. So some of these subspecies of takins even live in the Himalayan mountains. So these are mountain animals. So our subspecies of takin, the Sichuan takin, lives in the dense bamboo forests of China. And if you're thinking, I might know another animal that lives in a bamboo forest in China, you're correct, the giant panda. So the conservation of the giant panda has actually helped out the takin as well because they share the same kind of habitat. Now, because the bamboo forest where the takin and the pandas live can be also difficult to get to, like this habitat of our Gorals and the Urials, there's not much that's known about these animals in the wild. We know a lot about their behaviors and some of their adaptations because we have them at the zoo and we can observe them every single day. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting about the takin, and if you know a little bit about some mythology, is that it's thought that the takin, the gold color of its fur, is what inspired the golden fleece in the story of Jason and the Argonauts. Right, so Jason, very briefly, because we could do another 20 minutes on just this mythology story, Jason was sent on a quest by his uncle to get the golden fleece. Right? And this was something that I believe Zeus possessed. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm getting all of my gods mixed up in my head. So they thought that his uncle thought that this quest was impossible, but ultimately Jason succeeded in retrieving the fleece. Now that is just a very short snippet of that story, but if you're interested, go ahead and look it up and then think about, wow, so this golden fleece in the story was maybe the Takins' golden fleece, because they are really, really beautiful animals. I think personally they have the sweetest little face. So that was our crash course in our guts, our Gorals, our Urials, and Takins. So I'm going to check and see a couple of questions in the Q&A, see if we have any questions. 2 great questions. All right, do I like all of these animals? Yes, Caitlin, I do like all of these animals. I think sometimes our animals with hooves especially our Gorals or Urials and Takins. People may not spend as much time looking at them, but I think they're really, really interesting and pretty cute. So next time you get to come to the St. Louis Zoo, remember, make that free reservation to come see us. Take a look at red rocks and see if you can find the animals that we talked about today and check out to see what they're doing. Are they on the ground? Are they using some of their adaptations to hop up on the rocks? All right. And which is my favorite animal? Oh gosh, that's a hard question for me to answer. Oh man, I like a lot of different kinds of animals, and honestly, it kind of changes with the day or what I'm looking up. So right now, my favorites are probably Gorals, Urials, and Takins. That's a great question. Ooh, okay. Do the people make clothing from their fur? That's a super good question that I don't exactly know the answer to. There are a lot of different types of animal fur that you can make clothes out of. So, for instance, like with camels, the Bactrian camels that we have at the St. Louis Zoo are double hump camels. People will have herds of those that they keep, kind of like how we keep herds of cattle in the United States, except they use the shed fur, they'll clean it out and make it into yarn or felt it. But the three animals we talked about today specifically, I haven't heard, but there isn't a lot of research that's done. So, all right. And let's see here, how long do the Takins horns grow? Another good question. I'll have to look that one up. That was something I didn't think about. And you know what, Caitlin, you could probably look that up too and maybe let me know. That's really great. Okay, so I think that looks like all of the questions that I see. Let's see here. Oh, has the zoo had any baby Takins before? I don't remember. I don't remember. I should know. I've worked at the zoo an awful long time, but there's a lot of information that has to get put up in this spring. Oh, Lindsay in the chat says, yes, we have had baby Takin. She remembers. I don't. You can look back on the zoo's YouTube channel to see if maybe we have a video of it. We have a lot of videos of our animals at the zoo from this year and years past. So with that, I would like to remind you, like I said, if you do want to visit us at the St. Louis Zoo, go online, make a free timed reservation, and bring your face mask. We all want to help do our part to keep everyone healthy and happy during this time of COVID. So wearing that face mask is going to be a lot of good help too. So thank you all for joining with me today. I'm so excited to bring this webinar to you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Right. Bye-bye.